Well, got a new project. Another pressure washer, Ridgid. I've got the top. I just took it off because I didn't want it to blow off. It wouldn't fit right. Hose and wand, they're junk. Some of the worst ones I've ever seen. But overall, this is a nice unit. It's the SP210. So kind of like a Honda GX200 motor. Cat pump. So typical off the Ridgid. The Model 3 GX30. So this was sitting for a few years. The guy said the pump runs, but the carb is bad. So I'm gonna go clean this and let's start checking it out. All right, so cleaned it off. It looks decent, and carb needs a rebuild, or at least a cleaning for sure. So these are 10 mil bolts. 2 here, then 1 on the top. So it actually popped over and then stalled out. So one of the reasons I don't really like these Ridgid carts is there's so little access. So I actually don't know if I can take this out if there's enough room. So I'm not, these Ridgid carts are nice to protect it, but, oh, that's for the idle down. Let's see. Okay, so it did come out. There's the spacers. And this doesn't look too bad because I pressure washed it. But it does have a ton of gas in here. So the story the guy told me was that he had it in storage for a couple of years and he brought it out and they left gas in it, but he said they stored the pump correctly. So hopefully that's true. What I'm gonna do is drain all the gas first. That should be a 12 mil bolt on the bottom. Yep. There's no way to do this without making a mess. Oh, that's tightened. Do not want to do that. And then this has the original Manuki carb, so those are good. Oh, yeah, this bowl is bad, but it should clean up. Brake fluid does wonders. Hold on. Oh, it's so bad. There's no fuel coming through there. Because the tank's pretty full. Let me suck it out and then I'll turn the camera back on. All right, so I started to clean this bowl a little. You can see the sides. That's with the Dremel. And the bottom I didn't touch yet. So that needs work. Now these are always a pain, these clips. You don't really have room to get much in here. Just kind of wiggle it. Yeah, push it. There it goes. There's just a tiny bit of gas left. But let's see. So these are nice. You can just pull straight up, kind of. This pulls out. I like to put them up there so they're out of the way. And yeah, so there's not room to do that. So either need to pull these off from here or take the engine off. So, oh, let me decide for a bit. I'm gonna put I already put the spark plug in. New one, NGK, it had a torch. Those are not very good. So just time to reconnect that. I'm gonna get like a lockjaw, and I'm just gonna turn these out. And oh, that gasket looks good. This one I'm sure is bad. This one looks decent. So let me take these off, and then I'll be back. So I was able to break it loose using these, and then just keep twisting out because these are kind of frozen in there sometimes. And then if not, I'll use the double nuts here from the carburetor and break it loose like that. So, but this is why I don't like this cart, because to protect it and then rock it a little, yeah, perfect. There's no room to work on anything. So I kind of like something a little more open air cart design. But if you're someone who beats stuff up, or an environment where it's a lot of like other stuff around, maybe gets hit, these are nice carts. Perfect. So surprisingly, that gasket looks okay. This one, I've got new ones too, so I'll clean it up. This looks pretty bad. It's completely completely done. And with these bowls, you gotta be careful, because it's easy to distort them, but also a lot of times in my experience, the washer is shot. Actually, you know what, I have an extra bowl, so I'm gonna crank down a little, see if it will come. Yeah, because what happens is there's just deposits everywhere. So I am gonna take this off. I'm gonna start taking this, but I'm gonna change the angle. Okay, so I've been cleaning this, using the Dremel, got it mostly cleaned. This was completely packed from here to here, completely packed. Tons of corrosion here. I used my Dremel to clean this out. Only other thing I noticed, so there must have been water at one point. So I'm gonna grab this. This you just pull out. I thought that's how you do it. I might have to try off camera, but you just pull it, and then I want to clean these plates up because they have some rust, and I hit them with the Dremel before, but I wanted to get them more. Yeah, see, it's kind of, that one's pulling, so let me figure it out. But super corroded. The needle came out. I mean, not the needle, the emulsion tube. I cleaned it up. So my rule is, so these go in here, and then the needle, this is the emulsion tube, this is the jet. You have to take the jet out before, because the threads go through. But sometimes these don't come out. They just kind of get stuck there. If you can't get this out, you can either do two ways. One with an easy out. If you pound it in, you can get it, because this is brass, but this is like $18 or $28. Usually if I can't get this out, I'll spray it with carb cleaner till it starts to really dissolve everything, or I'll spray it with lubricant so it gets in the threads, and then I'll try it, see, hey, did that clear it out? And I've had it where it was idling rough, but it was running, or it wouldn't hit full throttle, and then after it sat for a day, 2 days with fresh gas, it dissolved the deposits and cleaned up, all the holes and everything inside, and then it ran again. So just something to consider. Be careful on these. I've ruined the threads. It's so easy to do. You can even see, they get easily damaged. You have to use the right size screwdriver. If it's small, you'll destroy them in a heartbeat. And this is a $150 genuine Manuki carb, and that's why a lot of people don't like Subarus, because you can buy a genuine Honda carb for like 30 bucks. And I have to see if I have a new bowl gasket. This one looks pretty old, but let me keep going. So this came right out now. I don't know why. And then this just pops straight out. And I did this to clean inside here. There's some rust. To clean this plate up just so it looks nice and pretty. All right, so got the carb built. I had a new bowl, new gasket there. This is funny. This was the second time I got one where somebody replaced the bowl with a Honda, and those don't fit. Basically, I don't have a ultrasonic. Cleaned it with a Dremel with brake cleaner. I keep saying I'm gonna buy an ultrasonic, and then I don't buy one. So one of these days I'll actually buy one. But for how I did this, because there's not a lot of room here. Everything needs to be lined up. And then I can put it like that. So, whoopsie. All right, so that one pretty much is going in, no problem. So they're both going in, no problem. I'm just gonna bottom them out by hand. Yep. And then, pretty much. So make sure you get your gaskets right. There's a gasket here, this black gasket here. A lot of time this plastic is broken. Probably on, I'd say half of these I buy, this top part is snapped. Doesn't really matter. So that, stop turning. All right, so I just did that till it stopped turning. Now, and that's good. Doesn't need to be super tight. And remember, this is steel going into aluminum. So, doesn't need to be super, super tight. For that, I found the best way to do it is spray little lubricants on it. Let me move over here. So, kind of spray this, because those are a pain in the butt. Because there's so little room. So you can, and sometimes you need to be careful because these are getting a bit dry. So work it slow. It's almost there. Yeah. Perfect. And you really need kind of like the pliers like this, where they've got a bend to them, because there's just no room in here. All right, next thing. Governor spring back up. Governor rod. Yeah. All right, sorry, distraction came. So now just tighten these up. Shoot, forgot the choke lever. Dang it. Sometimes I clean these bolts up, sometimes I don't. I mean, just didn't bother to this time. So pull this back off. Got to attach it for the crankcase ventilation. This only goes in one way. Yep. So for right now, I'm not going to put the air filter in, and I'm not going to put that last screw in just in case I need to take this off, because that one's a pain. It probably will be fine, but you know, just in case, why do more hassle? And then another thing was, I reused the old bowl gasket, and sometimes those leak, but I only have one extra, so I said, well, I'm just going to reuse that one. That's good enough. That's tight enough. Let me set it up to see if it starts. All right, so I already turned the water on. Gas is open. Choke is on. This is on. Let's see if it starts. Huh. Usually they start right up. Let me get something to prime it. This is just gasoline. There isn't gas getting to it. I'm gonna let it sit, make sure the bowl fills up all the way, and then I'll try it again. So it is running. But the choke has to be on. So it did start. The choke has to be on. I'm gonna let it sit for a day and then try it tomorrow, because my experience has been fresh gas tends to dissolve deposits. I primed it by my little bottle, and it started. It was running terrible on choke. I mean, it had to be choked. So the pressure, the pump, so it seems low. The pump looks in excellent condition. I mean, everything looks on good shape in this, but I think the unloader needs to be adjusted. So I'm gonna come back to this tomorrow, adjust this in. Actually, I'm probably gonna drop it to see if it's rusty or needs lubrication. Yeah, that's exactly. Maybe I'll take the pump head off, inspect the valves, but first I want to get that motor running right. So to be continued. Well, it didn't really work cleaning the carb yesterday, and with the little room to work on this part, I'm going to take the motor off, and I am going to work on the motor when it's disattached to this assembly, because it's just too much of a pain in the butt. So the reason I'm doing this is just because there's so little room on this cart. It's a pain. I have to take the carb off again But I'm going to take the pump off because that way I don't have to always have water running to it, because everything I have is just soaking wet right now. So I decided to do it like that for today. Plus, I might put this motor on a go-kart I picked up over the weekend. So I picked a go-kart up, Subaru motor, so it's not running right. And it is a 126cc, where this is a 210cc motor. I think that's through the nylon on the lock nut. Yeah. So that way, it can just pop right off. So another, one of the ways too, I can tell this unit was stored inside. When you look at the mounting bolts, they're not rusty at all. A lot of these, if they're stored outside, super, super rusty. So it's just a matter of taking that. Now it's off. So I am gonna take the pump off too, because that way I can work on this and not worry about damaging the pump, and I want to inspect it. So let me check. Put like 14 or 15 mil. $14 mil. Hopefully this, yeah, comes right off. Alrighty. Put these here just temporarily, so they don't get lost. The washers don't get lost. Oh yeah, this thing, barely any junk on there. Now it's time to get a Phillips screwdriver. So this is the idle down. No big deal, I can always reattach this easily later. And I have mixed experience with these, and I don't really think they're necessary, because you know, even when you're running your pressure washer, you need to squeeze the trigger. So, you know, this, it says like saves gas. I had one unit and it kept stalling because of that. So I don't know, I have mixed feelings on if these idle downs are really worth it, are good. Besides being kind of something that sounds great, I don't think functionally it really matters. So, all right, I am gonna put this back here. But one of the coolest things, and of course, because this car, how it is, you can't really fit it. All right, so that's just temporary there. So this idle down port, you can take this out and put a gauge in here. So if you want, you can just throw a gauge on the pump. I think you would have to flip the sides, but I don't think it's a problem. Anyways, time to look at this carb again. Well, this is super embarrassing. I went to take the carb off and fuel didn't come out. I opened this up. I thought I put more fuel in here yesterday. And this is one of the things I don't like about these filters. It's really hard to see how much fuel. I'm out of fuel. So maybe the carburetor's fine. And it is a fuel issue, which that would be goofy, but would make sense why it's only running on choke. Should be more than enough. Yeah, I get half tank in now. So I left the air filter off. Let's see, choke this open. Because before it would start only with priming it by hand. I bet you it'll start. So I'm gonna let it sit a minute just to make sure the bowl fills. And then I'll try it again. Well, unexpected end of the video. I put it in this go-kart. Yeah. So it actually had a Subaru 126cc in here. It said 5 horsepower, that's a little stretch. But, and the carb, I tried, never cleaned up. So I put a different one I had in there that's a lot better. Seems to be fine. Open. And it's on. So it runs fine. This is leaking a little. I just didn't tighten it all the way. I'm gonna shut that off. But, so I took it out of the pressure washer, and here's the pump for the pressure washer. I'm just gonna go through this next. So video changed. Didn't turn out how I thought, but went to good use.